What's up, everybody? It's your boy Eric, aka Young God, coming to you in a live dungeon, giving it to you real rugged. And we got somebody on the phone right now, but I let him introduce himself. Who do we have?
Hey, Mark Norman here.
How are you doing today, Mark?
Oh, doing good. A little hungover, a little gay.
uh, where are you from? For the people that don't know, where are you from?
I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. Born and raised, and I've been in New York for about 10 years.
How's it growing up there in Louisiana?
It's wild. I mean, the whole state is insane. It's like, hunters and crocodile people and, coon asses, we call them. It's like rednecks.
Yeah.
And, yeah, and I grew up in New Orleans, which is like a real city, but it's still pretty lawless. It's like a crazy Wild West town. You can drink outside, and there's strippers everywhere, and prostitutes, and just kids running amok. So it's a weird place to grow up. It's a good time.
It's crazy that you say you're from New Orleans, because usually when I talk to people from New Orleans, they have a very, very strong accent. I really don't hear an accent in you. Like, is that normal in your family? Like, your family doesn't have an accent from New Orleans, or am I just over exaggerating everybody from New Orleans having an accent?
No, it's definitely, there's a thick New Orleans accent, but I hate the Southern accent. No offense to any Southerners. It doesn't fit me. It doesn't work out coming out of my head. So as a kid, I like consciously worked on getting rid of it, and now I sound like a 1940s auctioneer.
I don't. That's where we differ. I love the Southern accent. I'm from Florida, so I hear that all the time. Just strong Southern Florida accents. So are you a person that likes certain accents from different types of regions? Like, are you a fan of, I don't know, British accents or New York accents?
Yeah, I like a good Northeast. I like a Boston accent. I like a New York, I like a Brooklyn guy. How you doing? Oh, I love that.
Those are so
That's fun.
disgusting. Those
Oh,
are
really?
so
See, I'm
disgusting.
on board with those. That's funny.
Those are so
Um,
disgusting.
but yeah, British, that's annoying, and Australian's a little annoying. I guess I like the bad ones.
I guess so. Well, you being from New Orleans, did you have any favorite musicians, or do you have any favorite musicians coming from that city?
Oh, wow. Well, let's see. I'm a big jazz douche. I like jazz a lot. Growing up in New Orleans, you just hear people playing jazz in the streets, and it's like just perfect walking around music, and it's on my iPod a lot. But I love Van Morrison. He's a big New Orleans guy. He's always hanging out there and doing jazz fest and concerts. But yeah, other than that, I just like a little everything. I listen to some hip hop, some rock and roll, some oldies, Motown, whatever you got.
Okay. And also I was looking through your Instagram, and I don't know if I'm tripping or you just got weird lighting, but are you fully white? Cause you look like you're mixed with something, like on the low. I don't know if I'm seeing things, or are you mixed with something.
I get that a lot. People think I'm always Hispanic or Cuban or something,
Yeah.
but I think I'm kind of tan. So I'm actually just half French, half Sicilian.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I guess so. It's not an uncommon thing that people would think that you're mixed with something. People normally think that, you say.
Yeah, no, I don't mind. I don't care. I kind of like it. It's fun.
Well, growing up, I would imagine you were into comedy, or you were the funny guy. But outside of comedy, what were like some of your interests, that things that interest you?
Growing up, I was a big movie guy. I love movies, going to the movies, old movies. I went to film school too. I used to make little videos when I was a kid. I thought I was going to be the next, Spielberg kind of guy, but that fell through. And then I was a big skateboarder. I love skateboarding. I skateboarded every day for probably 6, 7 years, and yeah, that was fun. But I got hurt so many times. You break an ankle, you
Yeah.
break a wrist. So I kind of fell out of that, and then I was just a big drunk, huge alcoholic for a while. That was a hobby of mine, and now I'm kind of cooled it on that. But now it's all comedy, 100% comedy. I eat, breathe, and sleep comedy. So that's my life now.
Any films that you would suggest for the people to watch? Newer films that came out that you've enjoyed?
Oh wow, the new ones. There's so many movies that come out now. Let's
Yeah.
see. I haven't seen Moonlight yet. I haven't seen La La Land. I haven't seen all those biggies, but I'm a big documentary guy.
Me too. I love documentaries. Very,
Oh,
very
great.
satisfying.
If I can recommend two that are on Netflix right now that I loved was I think it's called Harry Benson. It's about this photographer who photographed all these movie stars and presidents, and he was just had a cool life, and he was
Okay.
cool. And then there was one called John Casablancas. He invented the supermodel, so that's a really fun one. And then there's one called Supermensch.
Mm.
It's about the first like one of the big agents in Hollywood, and he like had Teddy Pendergrass and Groucho Marx and Alice Cooper and all
Wow.
these crazy names, and he invented like the celebrity chef. That was all from him.
Okay.
So check that out. He's a fascinating guy.
I will do. I mean, since we recommend documentaries, I got a documentary type film to recommend to you. It's on Netflix.
Please.
What is it called? Snow on the Bluff. You ever seen that?
No, never heard of it.
People ask me how to explain it or what is it about. The only way I can explain it, it's a guy with the camera, but he lives in the hood. So
Ooh,
so
interesting.
just imagine somebody in the hood documenting everything that goes on in daily living in the hood. So
Wow, I love it. That's
so yeah,
great.
look,
You said
Snow on the Bluff.
I thought
Snow
it was
on the Bluff.
gonna be like a nature thing.
Nah, yeah. I mean, they're incorporating nature. Okay, it's not what you probably think, but it's incorporating a lot of nature. Okay, so but no, it's really good. So I would recommend that. I would definitely
All right.
recommend anything that interests you now outside of comedy that you might be hobbies for you or whatever that may be, just watching TV, like anything.
Oh boy, that's a good question. I guess big movie guy. I said that already. TV guy. There's so much good TV on. What else?
Can I also recommend you a show if that's okay?
Yeah, please.
You said you like documentaries. Are you This is a docu series, really. Have you familiar with 60 Days In?
No, lay it on me. What
Basically, it's a show on A&E, and there's like volunteers, like 8 volunteers, and they voluntarily go to jail for 60 days. And there's cameras inside the jail, and basically they're living the inmate life. They're breeding with inmates, fighting with inmates, doing drugs with inmates. Probably one of the best shows, one like docu-series I've seen in the last 5 years. So I would definitely highly recommend everybody listening and yourself to look at 60 Days In. Very, very great show.
Oh my god, that's beautiful. That's right up my anal. I'm gonna check that out. Let me write that down. 60 Days In.
Yes, 60 Days In. I promise to you, you will not regret it. It's very. And then this season, the first 2 seasons they were okay, but then this season is in Atlanta, so it's just it's wild. It's a lot of. You will like it. I promise. It's very good.
All right, I love those jail shows.
Yeah,
like
really
Locked
good.
Up and all that.
Yeah, very, very good
So
shows.
Well,
What are you
let
watching?
me recommend one.
Okay.
There's one on Netflix. It's a little slower. This doesn't sound as crazy as that, but if you're really into like art and design, there's this one called Abstract, and it's all about design. So it's like 5 episodes long. The first episode is a guy he's an artist for the New Yorker and all these magazines, and he makes all these ads. Then one is an architect, and one is a guy who he's like the head designer at Chrysler, and he just designs all these cool cars. So it's fascinating how they got into it, how they failed and tried again, and they have to be so creative, and it's a hell of a docu-series.
Right, that you said Abstract.
Abstract. That's
Okay.
it.
Okay,
It's
Abstract.
slow
Yeah.
and melodic, but it's good.
Okay. Anything else that you're watching on TV that you should probably recommend to people?
Well, I just got rid of cable, which I don't know if I need cable anymore. So I'm all Netflix. And,
Okay.
I gotta throw a shout out to Crashing. It's on HBO. It's a movie. It's a show about stand up and a guy crashing on people's couches. A friend of mine's in the show, so I'm throwing that out there.
Okay. I'll be sure to probably check that out. Crashing.
Crashing.
Okay.
Yeah, like couch crashing.
Okay. Well, out of TV a little bit, what drew you into wanting to be a comedian, or what drew you into comedy in general?
Well, to be honest, if I can be bold here, it's basically I got into comedy just out of sheer desperation. I had so little going on in my life. I was just a drunk loser. I lived in a house with 5 guys. We'd play beer pong and wrestle, and we would steal stuff and vandalize. We had nothing going on. And I was in college, but I was failing out. I was in community college, and I worked at a restaurant as a waiter, and some guy was like, "Hey, you're pretty funny. You should do this open mic with me." And I was like, "Oh, I could never do that. I had such low self esteem. I saw stand up as like Carlin and Cosby and Pryor. I was like, I could never be that. What are you, crazy?" And so he's like, "Well, just try it out." And I said, "You know what? I'll try it." And I wrote down a bunch of stuff. I got really drunk and did the open mic, and it went pretty well. Not great, not terrible. And that was it. I was hooked, and all of a sudden, I had a pursuit in life. I had something to do and work for, and that was it. I moved to New York and just busted my ass and did open mics every night and worked during the day. I had every bad job in the book. I was a janitor, furniture mover, and all that shit. And then I just picked up a little more work here and there, and then I met Amy Schumer, and you start getting in the comedy clubs, and boom, now I got a career.
Taking a step back a little bit. I've heard you mentioned drinking a lot, and personally, somebody me, I don't drink. I feel like drinking. I feel like alcohol in general has to be objectively one of the worst tasting things to me. Like I just can't. Like I would rather eat butt every morning than drink like I don't know, like vodka straight. Like I feel like that's just like the most disgusting thing. So you like, were you in it to get drunk, or were you in it for the taste, or the taste and the drunkenness? Like how did that work for you? Because I'm just always curious.
Yeah, I hear you. It's purely for the. In the beginning, it was purely for the just to get drunk. I had such bad anxiety. I was so insecure that like you have a couple beers, and all of a sudden you feel okay. You feel normal. You feel funny and interesting, and you got a little confidence. And alcohol just takes all those negative things and kind of pushes them down for a minute. So that's why people are like, "Oh, I had a rough day. I need a drink."
Yeah.
Because you just want to like wind down. But I guess it is an acquired taste because now I love a ice cold beer. I love just sitting watching TV with a cold beer. I love a scotch. I love a whiskey. So you do get used to it. You do start to find you love it. But in the beginning, I was the guy at the bar who was just grabbing drinks off the bar. If it was a glass of red wine, if it was a glass of vodka, if it was a glass of beer, I would just guzzle it all down just because I was trying to get a buzz.
Wow, yeah, that makes me feel like a nerd because like every time I'm out somewhere, like, oh, you want to drink? I'm like, just stick with this water that I have, like this nice Aquafina. So,
Yeah, no, you're doing the right thing. I mean, just think about, I've been drunk, I don't know, 8 million times in my life, and just think about how much better your insides are than mine.
yeah,
Many nights of drinking, many nights of blacking out, puking, getting arrested, fighting, whatever it is. So just think about all those nights you didn't waste. You have so much more time on Earth.
well, it's interesting that you say you did it because of the anxiety and all these low self-esteem things. Usually when I hear people say that, they usually choose weed. So what made you go with alcohol instead of marijuana?
Well, my friends ask me all the time because I'm friends with a lot of potheads, and they always say, "Yeah, what are you doing? Alcohol's poison. You're hurting your body. Blah blah blah." But weed, for some reason, amplifies all my insecurities, and alcohol pushes them down. So I wish I could get high because weed is so much better for you, and it's not ruining my liver and all that. So weed makes my insecurity go up. It makes my neuroses go up. So I can't do it. I mean, I do it still, but I still smoke weed, that tells you a little bit about me. How I shouldn't do things I don't want to do, but yeah. I wish I was like that. It's a personality thing.
Any other drugs that you would like to try before you die?
Oh man, I mean, I've done most of them. Shrooms, I think, is the best drug. Even a guy like you who doesn't drink, I think you would still, in the right circumstance, I think you'd enjoy some shrooms.
Really, I always wanted to try. Well, I guess kind of some of the shrooms. I feel like this is I don't know. Every time I hear somebody talk about it, like Joe Rogan or somebody, they make it seem very interesting. Acid. I feel like. Have you ever tried acid?
I've done acid, I don't think 2 or 3 times, and it's heavy stuff. I mean, it's still a chemical, so that worries me. Your brain goes into some crazy places. But shrooms, I know I sound like a hippie weirdo here, but shrooms are still natural.
Mm-hmm.
They come out of the earth, or they come out of dog shit, or what is it, a cow shit.
Yeah.
But it's still a mushroom. I think acid scares me because it's a little piece of paper. It's a little liquid you put on your tongue, and acid's heavy stuff. I would start with a shroom and then go to an acid. Shroom is beer, acid is liquor.
Okay, well, kids, if you're listening, make sure you do all the drugs we're talking about. Apparently, they're really, really fun for you. Shrooms,
yes.
shrooms, acid, all of it.
There you go.
Well, being a comedian, what was your first time you ever bombed?
Oh my God, jeez! I mean, I bombed the first 4 years basically.
Really?
I bombed horribly. I bombed still. You can get out of it now. It's almost like getting in a fist fight. You're always going to lose every now and then, but you know how to not die.
Yeah.
Like I know how to like not get my ass kicked completely at this point, but you still lose a fight with the audience every now and then. So
Well,
bombing never goes away, and if you're trying new stuff, which you should be doing, you're going to bomb.
that's crazy you say that because I was going to ask you, like, watching some of your stand up, I could see how you could bomb in the sense of you have more of a dry humor approach style. And, crowds, it depends where you're at because if you're in a crowd where nobody knows you, they might not understand where you're coming from and your sense of humor because it's very dry. You're not overly animated, doing weird voices going all over the place. So, would you agree that if you're coming from a more dry approach, that it may be easier for you to bomb?
Oh, completely. Yeah, I'm a real wordy guy. Like my joke, I don't have like a lot of acting out on stage. I'm not
Yeah,
moving around a lot, so that's a good observation because my jokes are all about words, and if you miss one word of my joke, sometimes the joke won't make sense. So I need audiences to really hang on to every word I'm saying, and people they got short attention spans, and
yeah.
they're drinking, and they're talking to their friend, and their phone's lighting up. They don't give a rat's ass about what I'm saying. They just go, huh? They look up and they go, wait, I'm not laughing yet. Screw this guy. And they
Yeah,
turn around.
exactly how it
So,
goes.
so yeah, you're right. And I think after a while, you kind of, as a comic, you learn like, okay, you got to get these people to trust you as a funny guy immediately. So you go up and you do some quick, rapid fire jokes because I'm not going to be the guy humping the stool. So I got to go up there and just boom, 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 get them on my side immediately. And then once you have them on your side, then they're a little more keen to like, all right, well, let's listen to this guy because he made us laugh in the beginning, so he's probably going to keep being funny.
Okay.
They trust you.
Well, I'm not saying I'm a comedian, but me doing comedic things out there on the internet and whatnot, would you agree that, like you saying that you're more of a dry approach, these people that are very, very big at the moment, they're more of a ooh, like in your face type thing. Do you ever get discouraged to the point where you almost want to try what they're doing? Or do you just
Oh
realize to yourself,
yeah,
like, yeah, you get that
that's
sometimes?
yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, like sometimes I'll see a guy kill so hard that I'm like, oh, I got to be more like that guy. That guy's murdering. Look at that. But then you realize he's just being himself and he's good at it. If you keep doing your thing, you'll kill, and eventually, and then you'll have people going, I got to be more like him.
So you're
So
the trendsetter, basically.
yeah, you got to be the trendsetter. You got to be you all the way because if you try to be him, you'll only be as good as an impersonation of him. You'll never be as good as him because you're not him. So like you got to just be the best you can be. But we've all been there. We've all seen a guy, and like especially in comedy, I used to kind of rip off Chris Rock a little bit because I was such a huge fan, and I would rip off Seinfeld a little bit when I started because you don't know where to go, and
Yeah.
these are your heroes, and you start to sound like them. So it happens, but you definitely got to be you, and you find out who you are and your voice, and that's the key.
Well, have you found any Mark Norman clones yet? Somebody that sounds just like you?
That's funny you say. I just got a text last night from my friend in L.A., and he goes, hey, you're not going to believe this. There's some new kid, new comic. He's doing you. It's so blatant, so clearly you. And he went up to the guy, and he was like, you a Mark Norman fan? The guy was like, yeah, I'm a huge fan of his. How'd you know? So that was kind of funny.
And you're living in New York, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How is it out there? Me being a Floridian, New York it looks one way, but I don't know if it's really that way. So how would you describe it?
Oh, my God. It's the best city in the world. It's like the best word to say about New York is it's competitive, and competition makes greatness. Like if you're out in the middle of Idaho and the population is 6,000, you're more likely to not have teeth. You're like, well, Bob didn't have teeth. Why should I have teeth?
Yeah,
But if you're in New York and you go, everybody here's thin, everybody here's attractive, everybody here's making money, everybody's working hard, then you step it up a little bit. That's why New York is the best comics. There's so many great comics here, so you got to go, shit, this guy's amazing. I got to be amazing, or at least try to be. And everybody kind of kicks it up a notch because there's more people around, and also more people around causes more shame. Shame is good. If you're fat in Wyoming, you go, well, I'm fat in Wyoming, but who's noticing? Nobody's noticing. I'm in Wyoming. But if I'm fat in New York, I got 8 million people going. That's a fat guy over here. So yeah, I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was about to say that's a very good point because I'm specifically from Jacksonville, Florida, and
Uh,
right now, very popular in Jacksonville. Everybody either wants to be a model or a rapper. So
huh.
it's not a lot of models or rappers in Jacksonville. So let's say there's a one big rapper. He doesn't know any better. He's like the only rapper down here, so he's thinking like, "Oh, I'm really good." But like you're saying, if you go to a place like I don't know where rap is really really popular, then he gets lost in that because like you say in New York, it's so competitive that everybody's trying to make each other better. But if you're that only person doing that one thing, you kind of get lost in the shuffle thinking, you're the best when you're not. So I think that was a really good point you
Exactly.
made. Yeah,
That's
I know
exactly
exactly what you're
right.
saying.
Yes.
I know exactly what you're saying. You mentioned her earlier in the interview, Amy Schumer. How did
Uh-huh.
you meet her?
Weird story. I was a young comic, very green, very new, and I was doing this show at a comedy club, and I was lucky to be on the show. To be honest, this show was way above me, and I got on somehow, and I was bombing. I remember I was bombing at this comedy club, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm bombing! It's my big shot, and I'm blowing it." And then I told this one joke, and this one joke was working, was killing. And as I told that joke, Amy Schumer happened to walk in and see that joke, and then she walked into the green room. And as the joke finished, I continued to bomb again. So she happened to just see me do well, and she came in the green room. She's like, "Hey, I love that joke. I think we have a good rapport. I feel like you'd be good open. You'd be good open for me on the road." And I was like, "Oh, geez, all right, yeah, cool." And I didn't really think too much of it. And then before you know it, I'm on the Amtrak with her, going out to Long Island, and boom, we did a gig at a college, and that was it. And then she's like, "All right, that was fun. Here's some more dates." And we went to Chicago, Denver, L.A. That was it.
So would you say that is that the biggest person that you've opened up for so far?
Oh, well, geez, that was years ago. Since then, I've opened for Louis C.K. and
Oh, okay.
um, a couple other, but yeah, I guess those two are the biggest, Louis and Amy. But I opened for Amy's HBO special, and Chris Rock directed it, and that was pretty exciting because I got to like get advice from him and talk to him.
Yeah, he's. I was looking at an interview with him yesterday. I feel like comedians are some of the most smartest people. Would you agree with that? Because
Oh
I
yeah,
say this all the time. I feel like let's say somebody growing up they think they're funny. I feel like you're really funny if you can make everybody laugh from every demographic, from kids to adults to black people, white people, gay people, straight people, Muslims, everything. Like you can. It's cool if you make your friends laugh or your black friends laugh, but the white people don't find you funny. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like
yeah,
that makes and you have to have a certain type of intelligence to know what's going to make that person pop. So would you agree with that?
completely. I mean, I agree with it to a point because some people what we call broad comedy, they're just funny for everybody, and that's like slipping on a banana peel. So in a
Okay.
way, I think that's actually kind of the dumbest comedy because if a kid and an old guy and a white guy and a black guy are laughing at it, it might mean that it's a little too broad,
Mm.
you know. But I do think that if you got a guy like Eddie Murphy or Steve Martin or somebody in a room with a kid, I bet they could make the kid laugh. Then you put him in a room with an old guy, I bet he could make the old guy laugh. So I think they could definitely make every kind of person laugh, but it's hard to do it all at once.
Okay. That
Most
makes
things.
sense. That makes
I'm
sense.
getting too technical here, but
No,
I,
no,
I,
no,
I
no.
agree with that.
I never thought about it. Like you make a lot of sense. Like if you could do that, then I see what you're saying. The broad comedy, that's actually makes a lot of
Yeah,
sense. That's what you're saying.
like a lot of the worst comics have the most mass appeal. I'm not going to name names, but there's some real bad comics out there. Like, well, we'll just say like the blue collar guys, those blue
Hmm.
collar comedy troupe douchebag guys. They're horrible. A lot of the jokes are horrible and stupid. And first of all, they're flying on a private jet, even though they're calling themselves the blue collar, which I think is funny. But they're appealing to these giant arenas and these big theaters. But their comedy sucks. But the reason they can appeal to everybody is because everybody gets it because everybody's dumb. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what
So,
you're saying.
but on the other hand, I do think comics are really smart, because that's why comics do a lot of drugs and drink a lot, is because our brains are always going. We never
Hmm.
shut up, and it's not always a good thing. We're also neurotic and egotistic and depressed. So I think with the smart comes the sad. you never meet a sad dumb guy because he doesn't know any better. What's he sad about? Everything's
Yeah.
great, candy, yay!
Well, a couple more questions for me, and then the fan questions, and we'll get done with this. Kind of piggybacking off your depression sad thing. Like Robin Williams committed suicide about a year or two
There you
ago,
go.
and it makes me think because uh, why do you think that comedians become comedians to kind of make other people laugh so they don't have to feel what they're feeling, or is it kind of like an escape, or do you think it's kind of both? Like, why do you think comedians become comedians even though that everything isn't really all fine and dandy with them?
It's a good question. I think the number one is comedians are sad and we feel like outcasts a little bit. We feel different. So I think the laughter is a sign of acceptance. You get that laugh and you go, okay, I'm doing everything right now. These people like it. They like me. It's a constant reassurance that comedians need. That's why comedians have a compulsion to get on stage. You don't hear a construction worker go, I got to get to work. I'm dying to go to work. But you hear a comedian go, man, I've been on stage in a few days. I'm itching. I got to get up there. Because we need that reassurance again. We need to know that, hey, I had this thought. I'm going to tell it to you. You'll laugh. And then I'll go, all right, great. The thought worked. You agree. So we need that. And I think the laughter is nice. It's just love. People are just giving you love.
Mm-hmm.
And no one laughs at a guy they don't love unless it's mean laugh. And then I heard a great quote from this guy, Harry Shearer. He does a voice on The Simpsons. He's in a bunch of movies. He said that comedians become comedians because we want to control why people laugh at us. There's nothing worse than having someone laugh at you, and it's not it's out of your control. Because then they're just making fun of you. They're going, you fucking weirdo! Look at that shirt, you idiot.
Yeah.
But if you put the shirt on and you go, hey, look at this funny shirt, and everybody laughs, you were in control of it.
It's actually funny you bring that up because I was going to include this for one of my fan questions, but since you're talking about this, I was talking to my friend and I was like, "Are you familiar with him?" He was like, "Yeah, I'm a big fan of his." And he said, "When you were young, were you the bully or were you the one getting bullied?"
Oh, good question. Well, I think comedians come in both forms. I was definitely the one getting bullied, but I worked my way out of it with humor. Like some guy would say, hey, Mark wet the bed the other night. And everybody would start laughing. I go, yeah, I did. It was crazy. And I would just go with it.
Yeah.
And that way it kind of makes the bully, it takes their weapon away, defenseless or armless. He's got nothing. He's got no weapon now because I'm just going, yeah, I did. It was great. I wet the bed. I was hot. So now I wet the bed. Now I'm feeling good. Whatever the hell you say. And you're like, I hate my mattress. I'm trying to get a new mattress. And just because if you accept the joke, then because they just want to hurt you. So if you show you're not hurt, then they have no power.
I do the same thing. Like if somebody says like oh, you blah 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 blah, you just keep going with it because eventually the crowd will be like, oh, it's not really bothering him, so it's not even funny anymore. Because if you're bothered, it gets even more funny because he keeps going. But if you're not bothered, then he stops. The crowd stops laughing, and it works for you. So I think that's a very good tactic that more people should use when they're getting roasted or bullied.
Oh yeah, it's a good one.
It is. Last question for me, or a couple more questions for me. Then we get to the fan questions. Your new stand-up. Can you please tell us about it?
Oh yeah, sure. I got a new special coming out on Friday, a week from today, May 12th at midnight on Comedy Central. It's gonna be it's a doozy. Amy Schumer produced it. And worked really hard on it. It came out great. I shot it in a synagogue in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. So it's we touch on everything: dating, drinking, women, race, gay, religion, anxiety. It's all in there.
And when does it premiere?
May 12th at midnight. Comedy Central.
Okay. And last question is a fan question. Is from Young NATO. He says, "Big fan of yours, but I have to ask, who's your favorite porn star?"
Ooh, male or female?
Let's go both.
Well, let's see. I was just joking about the male. But, geez, female. Sadly, I don't know them by name, but if you lined up their vaginas, I could tell you. I don't know what the names are. Let's see. I saw one the other day that blew my mind. there's so many porn stars
It
out. When I
is
was a
it's,
kid, it was 8 porn stars. Now there's 49 just on one genre. Trying to think.
Why did the one yesterday blow your mind? What was so fantastic
She
about
was
it?
just so hot. She was just super hot. What's that woman's name? Who she does Palin?
Lisa
Nayland
Ann.
Palin.
Lisa Ann.
Lisa Ann. I like Lisa Ann a lot.
Yeah.
I like she's older, but she's
Yeah.
still hot.
She followed me
I
on
like
Twitter.
older.
She followed me on Twitter one time. Almost passed on it.
Holy hell!
Yeah. Talking about DMs. I slid in her DMs the second it happened, man. So yeah, that was pretty fun stuff right there.
Nice.
Pretty fun stuff. But okay. Anything you got to say before we get out of here? Any closing words? Anything you want to say?
Oh, geez. Well, just be nice to everybody. Try to live your dream, and try to think about things from other people's perspective. Everybody just goes, "I disagree. Fuck you. You suck. I'm the man." Nah, try to put yourself in other people's shoes for 10 minutes, and don't just think you have it the worst. Everybody's got it bad, and think about stuff and think about context, and then try to not be such a sheep. Everybody's such a sheep now. They just kind of go with the flow. Be your own person and make your own rules, and live life how you want to live it. And don't worry about what people think so much.
Saying that, you just reminded me of a question I meant to ask. I'm sorry about that. Gotta ask you about this because you're a comedian, and in 2017 is really, really different in the world in the sense of like everything is everybody more sensitive about a lot of things. You have to be more politically correct about things. So as a comedian, how do you feel about like Dave Chappelle just put out a special recently. A lot of people didn't like it because of things he said. So how do you feel about the world being more PC? Do you tame your message down, or how does that affect you?
I think it's. I get it. I get the whole PC thing. We don't want to hurt anybody. Blah blah blah. But I feel like as a comedian, you can leave us alone. Leave comedians alone. We're not politicians. I can see if Donald Trump went out there and was like trannies or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. He's in a lot of power. If he doesn't like trannies, that's a real problem. But Dave Chappelle he never said he didn't like them. He's just making jokes. And he's a comedian. When do comedians get so much clout? When do people start, listening to us? We're just telling jokes. He's a comedian. He's trying to be funny. And that's another thing is people only jump on the bandwagon when their group is hurt. They go, "Hey, I'm a transgender. You can't talk about that." Well, you talk about Mexicans for 10 minutes too. Where are we on that one? Oh, but it's not about you. So, But I get it. Progress is good. You don't want to hurt people's feelings. But here's my thing with comedians, and no one's going to agree with me, and I'll probably get shit for this. But I feel like comedians with these words like tranny or racial slurs or the F word for gay people, whatever it is, I feel like comedians kind of have the way you can have a gun permit. We kind of have a politically incorrect permit. It's part of the job, being politically incorrect, being honest, keeping it real. That's what a comedian's all about. And you gotta, if you don't like it, don't listen. I feel like we know how to use these words. We know they're harmful, but we just want to shoot them at a range. We don't want to shoot anybody. We want to shoot them in a safe place, and the safe place is the stage. And that's all part of it.
I agree. I mean, would you agree that certain people get a pass? Because I'm a big Louis C.K. fan, and like I've heard Louis C.K. like just like blatantly say nigger, and like nobody cared. Like I mean, I didn't care, but I'm just saying, like, do you feel like in verses of like Dave Chappelle does the whole tranny thing, and Louis C.K. does the whole nigger bit? Like why do you think certain people like that are targeted?
Oh, I think they're targeted because you're not supposed to say those words and people get upset, but I think comedians, they're exploring these things. Like, you can't talk about anything at work. You get fired, HR is up your ass, you get fired for saying, Chinese or Chinaman, all these little things you can't even say. And so somebody's got to talk about them. They're out there. We all know them. We all know the word. Isn't that funny how we all know these slurs, but we can't say them?
Yeah.
Everybody knows them. We're acting like they don't exist, but of course they exist, and of course they're out there. So let's let somebody talk about them. And if a comedian's going to do it, let him do it. I find it interesting. And just because people don't like it doesn't mean it should go away. That's what pisses me off. You're allowed to have your opinion. You're allowed to be offended. But just because you don't like it, don't take it away from me. I love it.
I agree. Well, we're going to try to close this out one more time. Any last words you want to say one more time?
Let's see. Yeah. It's kind of ironic how these people who are so PC they're against bullying, but they're kind of bullies in a way. I just realized
I
this.
agree.
They're bullying you. They're going, hey, he made a rape joke. He should be fired. Well, now you're the bully. You hate bullying, but you're a bully.
Because
So
when you say something like a person should be fired for a joke, then I don't know if they're taking into consideration that that person might have a family. That person might, like
yes,
you're taking food out their mouth. So I don't think people think
exactly.
about it like
You're
that.
doing something way more harmful than a joke.
Yeah,
You say the joke is so bad, but you're taking their job away. Yeah, that's money. That's livelihood. So I'm with you, and I get it though. I get the whole PC thing. I'm all about progress, but come on, these are words. Let's have some context here.
yeah, I agree. Well, hey, we're going to end it like that. Thanks for everybody for listening. Until next time, I say what I mean what I say. Haters gonna hate and players gonna play. Holla at your boy.